having perfect audio, sound effects. They're awesome, super easy, drag and drop. The reason why I also like using Artlist.io is because they have so many different genres to pick from. You're able to choose the beat per minute. Artlist.io offers a lot of assets, plugins, titles, transitions. If you guys are new here, all the film transitions I've been using are from Artlist, and also the sound effects as well, which leads me to another point why Artlist.io is awesome. They have so many different types of sound effects. So if you guys are interested in using Artlist.io on your new project, I'll have a link in the description below. It's the most important part for your video.
So click the link in the description below and get 2 additional months for free when you sign up for an annual subscription. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Peter Dubuslo, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Laowa Proteus 45T2 2x Anamorphic. It's a mouthful. I've had this lens for about 8 months now, and I've really only used it on one camera, and that was the FX3. Now, I had some pros and cons to using this on the FX3, but I finally was able to get a PL adapter for my red Gemini, and I gotta say, I overlooked this anamorphic lens. There are things that I liked about it and didn't like about it when I was using it on the FX3. This is the exact rig that I used to shoot all those shots that you guys just saw. Yeah, let's get into things that I like about this lens, things that I don't like about this lens. Now, off the top, things that I don't like: the size. It's huge, it's enormous. I don't even know how much it weighs. If I'll find the weight of it and I'll put it up here somewhere. I think that's probably the only thing. Oh yeah, and one more thing is that the character kind of lacks a little bit. I feel like there could have been a little bit more distortion, especially on the sides. Not much of a cat eye bokeh, especially for a 2x anamorphic lens. I feel like there could be a little bit more character there. I feel like it could have a little bit more character, but for the amount of character that this lens produces, it's great still. It doesn't overdo it doesn't overdo the image of the anamorphic. It just produces just enough for you to realize that, oh, he's shooting on anamorphic. It looks good, because not every anamorphic has to be stretched or distorted. The fact that this doesn't really have much barrel distortion I like as well. It doesn't look like you're looking through a barrel when you're shooting on this. The color rendition that this lens produces, very clean. It's not sharp, it's not soft, it's just perfect. It doesn't look like we're shooting on like a vintage glass, but then it doesn't also look like we're like shooting on a G Master or something like that. It's just perfect. The colors are great. Everything that I displayed in the beginning of this video, it was all colored in color.io. I'll put a link for that if you guys are interested in signing up and getting great colors. I've been using it for some time now. One other thing that I don't really like about the lens is that the focus is a little too soft or too smooth. Now you're probably wondering, like, how can someone hate a lens that focuses too smooth? I feel like it could have like been a little bit of a damping option there. I'm not even sure if that's even a thing. The lens is so big, but I feel like it's big for a reason, and that reason is for getting better handheld with this lens. Most of the stuff that I showed in the beginning of this video, I had my hand underneath here and I was using my pinky to focus, and I feel like having this much space on the Proteus is different. It's great because it just gives you more room to hold the lens and to properly balance yourself with the camera and the lens, especially if you're doing a lot of handheld shooting with this lens. Better and more room for you to grab the lens and to counterweight the whole rig, especially if you're doing a lot of run and gun shooting. So there's a few more things that I would like to talk about this lens, and that brings me to the flaring that this lens can produce. Now, it all depends on the light source that you are shooting at. I've noticed that sometimes shooting into the sun, I get like a few flares on my image instead of just one coming where the light source is. So I don't want to say that this lens does flare easy, but it all depends on the light source that you are shooting against. It can be somewhat distracting. Some shots that I didn't even put on here that I'll put right here, that you can see like multiple different flares coming across the image. I just feel like it's a little too distracting. So this lens does produce very little CA, but I feel like it's somewhat controlled. I've only really noticed it. I feel like this lens is a very clean option if you're looking for an anamorphic lens. Another thing that I want to talk about is the price point. I believe these lenses go for 5,000 or 6,000 American each. I do feel like it is a lot, especially if we're going to be comparing it to other anamorphic lenses that have just been recently coming out. But I feel like seeing people complain about those anamorphic lenses, and I'm not going to talk about which ones, that these are probably the cleanest option that you can get being compared to those other newer ones. The only other thing that I can see if you're going to compare apples to apples is that, you know, the size difference and the price difference, obviously. But yeah, so that's it for this video. We'll see you guys on the next one.